My name is Breland Moore, and I'm originally from Reading, Pennsylvania, and I chose Temple because of its phenomenal broadcast journalism program, as well as its location in the city. I am a broadcast journalism major, and the dream is to work for the NHL as a broadcaster or someone who's interviewing the players. Um, Temple has a phenomenal program. We have a lot of alumni that work in ESPN and other sports related areas, and working with Temple Athletics has really opened a lot of doors for me, so it was a no-brainer to come to Temple. Um, I am a returning mascot, and so I obviously have some really funny stories. One of the best moments, I think, by far, is performing at the New Mexico Bowl game. We had a great time. That was my first plane ride out. First time I was on the West Coast, and I was not expecting our football team to just demolish Wyoming. And so it was a great time to see. There were about 3,000 Temple people there, which was unreal because when you're in the West Coast, I mean, we're from Philadelphia, so you don't really expect someone to travel all that way to pay to go, because I obviously don't have to pay to go. So I think that was the most mind-blowing thing that I could have possibly experienced, is to see all of those alumni and all those students come together for us just to support our football team and to support our Spirit Squad and our athletics program. The worst moment is usually when I get sick. There's a couple times when you're at an appearance and people don't understand that mascots need breaks and they need water. And when I say I have to go, that means I have to go. And sometimes people don't get that and they don't pull me out in time, and I actually become really dehydrated and quite sick. And there was an appearance, it was 105 degrees inside the building, and I had to take it off, and I got violently ill in the bathroom. But it was okay. I finished it. They were very, very happy, and they tipped me. So it all worked out in the end. But I think that for sure is my worst moment. There has been a lot of growth for me over the years as a mascot. I started off as my high school mascot, the Muhlenberg Mule, in little old Reading, Pennsylvania. And then I started working for minor league teams. I worked for the Reading Phillies for a while, which is the baseball team. I've been working there for 5 years, and this was my last year this past season. And I also worked for the Reading Royals doing their summer appearances as their mascot as well. And I have great stories from the Phils. I mean, working somewhere for 5 years period, you're bound to have crazy fans and people who just absolutely adore you. And I think that in itself is the best experiences, when you get these crazy fans that you meet, and then when you actually meet them as a real person, it's kind of, they don't want anything to do with you. It's those little kids, they don't want anything to do with the real person. But the second you put on that mask, it's like you're God. So I definitely love that. We had an audition process at Temple, and I originally sent down tapes from the Reading Phillies, and it was just kind of a collaboration of me doing dances and interacting with the Philly fanatic when he came to visit, and we also did a couple of fan to mascot interactions in that video. So I sent that down in August, and then I had to wait a whole year to actually step into Hooter. But the entire time I was talking to the athletic department and kind of communicating with them. But the audition process was kind of simple. It was just an interview face to face, and then we had to get in the suit and show them what we got. And it was dancing and scenarios, quick scenarios. Oh, there's a little kid, or we just scored a touchdown, and you had to fast react. They basically just wanted to see if you can think on your feet, because it's a lot of thinking on your feet, and if you can dance, and if you're entertaining and you do it in an entertaining manner. And then I got another call back with the athletic director and a couple of the assistant athletic directors, and I had to sit down and talk to them about scheduling and if I was really committed about it. And then that's when I got the fabulous email that said, congratulations, I was officially in the club, I guess. I'm looking forward to the Big East this season. Temple has just switched conferences. We were in the MAC for football, and now we are Big East, which is phenomenal. Great new competition, great new atmosphere. Everything on campus is revitalized. People are really, really excited about it, and that makes me very excited because I feel as though I cannot mascot well if the crowd doesn't react. It's a two-way street. I play off of them, and they play off of me. And I feel as though even though I'm supposed to be entertaining them, they also entertain me, and it's easier to entertain someone who's very, very enthusiastic and really is excited about the season in general. So I think that our new Big East status is really going to help us. I'm also nervous about the Big East. I feel as though it's going to be a lot more television, a lot more public appearances and things like that, and I am ready for it. I'm excited about it, but it also is kind of a little bit nerve-wracking thinking, oh gosh, like you're going to be on ESPN, you need to make sure everything's ready, we have to be camera ready, we're going to get a new suit so that everything looks crisp and clean and ready to go so we're not embarrassed by our appearances. I chose to become a mascot as a joke. It started in 10th grade. My field hockey coach thought I was just hysterical. I would always dance, and I was always that idiot pretty much running around our field hockey field, and they said, oh, Breland, you would be really, really good as the mascot. Like, you should try out for the mascot. And I always kind of thought mascots were cool. I went to a lot of hockey games growing up, and we had a phenomenal mascot to learn off of. His name is Slapshot from the Reading Royals, who I ended up being at one point in my life. But we had a great time just like laughing at him when I was little, my family and I. And so I just kind of had a respect for it. I thought it would be fun to do. And I was a theater person for a little while there, so I feel as though that might have played into it. But when I got into the suit for the very first time, people loved it. They thought my originality was phenomenal. And eventually, within my third game, I already got a phone call from the Reading Phillies asking, like, oh, do you want to work with us for the next season? So I knew that I had something there, and it was such a strange talent, but it was a talent nonetheless, and I definitely wanted to hang on to something like that. And so I started with the Reading Phillies, and it just worked my way up. And when I came to college, and I already had decided on Temple, I figured the very next step would be to mascot in college. I felt like that was the next natural progression. So I decided to apply, and here I am. I'm so excited. I think mascots are incredibly, incredibly important to a university. We are the face of Temple. Players can come and go. We have phenomenal basketball players and phenomenal football players, but they come and go. And Hooter will always be a constant, even though there's different people under there and it might not be exactly the same. I feel as though the face will always, always be there. And it's something that, yes, right now I'm watching Khalif Wyatt play basketball, or, I watched Bernard Pierce last year play football, and now he's playing for the Baltimore Ravens. Like, that's great and all, but there is a need for a consistent person there that you can always recognize. Even after 12 years of being away from Temple, you come back and there they are, and that's Hooter. Hooter is that person. He represents the university, and it's a lot more than just athletics. It's also academics and things like that. Hooter just is Temple, and I think that that is an extremely important part of the university. I feel as though mascots, I don't know if they can really affect the outcome of the game per se, but they can absolutely rev up the crowd. And I think that the crowd can absolutely 100% affect the outcome of a game. If they're into it and they get the players fired up, obviously that might have a positive impact. We did have a situation a couple of years before I entered the program where Hooter gave the ref a bad time and actually got a technical foul, and we lost the game because of that. It was a nightmare, but me personally, I don't think that I can affect the game because I prefer not to be in trouble. I don't think that I've ever affected a game. Maybe with my awesome dance skills and, my pumping up the crowd. But I really don't think that I affect the game. I think that that's more of an athlete thing. They're in their own head at that point. They're not paying attention to things on the sidelines. So as long as I'm not running out and doing something crazy in the middle of the field where I get in trouble, from the referees, I don't think that I personally can affect the outcome. I do not have a boyfriend. I actually laughed when I saw that question because we refer to Hooter as my boyfriend because it's a little bit awkward in public to say, oh yeah, can I pick up the costume? Like, can I pick up Hooter? Because obviously people aren't supposed to know who Hooter is. So on campus, when I'm on the phone with the athletics department, I'm like, guys, can I come pick up my boyfriend? I spend probably 3 or 4 nights a week with Hooter, and we go all over the place together. We went to hockey games, and we go to baseball games, and of course I'm performing, but I feel like sometimes Hooter is my life, so Hooter kind of, as a joke, is my boyfriend because it's just the best way to word it, really and truthfully, and that is my primary relationship in life is with this mascot. This question also makes me kind of laugh a little bit. Hooter does not get invited to fraternity parties. It's actually against athletic policy for us to participate in anything not athletic related. So if the athletic department isn't getting money from it, we technically cannot make an appearance somewhere. And I feel as though it's a bad image for a mascot to show up at a party where people are drinking and getting a little bit crazy. We did do a couple of weddings where that happened, and we had some old people grinding up on us. It got a little weird, but they paid for that, so we can't really say no, and if they would ever tag us on Facebook or something with photos and it's kind of a little bit weird, we'll politely tell them that they can't. But fraternities aren't going to pay for Hooter to come to their party. It's really not that important to them. And it's not important to me. I would never go to a party or any place where there's alcohol being consumed, most likely illegally, with the costume. I think that's frankly the dumbest idea I've ever heard of in my life because I'm not even photographed with cups in my hand because I'm so nervous that I'm going to lose my scholarship or this position, because this position is gold for me. I think that Temple has really opened up a lot of doors, and I would never, ever, ever jeopardize my position with athletics for one night of a lot of fun. So no, Hooter does not go to fraternity parties. There are a couple of fraternity boys that used to be Hooter before I came into the program, and there's one currently that is still in a fraternity, but we are very careful that Hooter does not come out during those bangers. I feel as though you should choose to follow me in the series because it's very, very, very rare to have a female as a lead mascot. It's a boys' club, it's a boys' world, and it's very strange to have a female in such a high position in the mascot world. I'm one of the few NCAA females that get to say I am the top spot. A lot of times the girls will do appearances or little tiny stuff, but they're never the ones at the bowl games, at the NCAA tournament. They're never the ones that are doing the big high profile stuff. And that's me. And the boys get to do all of the stupid little dinky appearances on campus at the student center, like taking pictures with the freshmen or something. And so I feel like that's very rare, and it's unique the way that our program is set up. And I think that that's very interesting, and you're not going to find that very often in other places. I personally, I'm a broadcast journalism major. I love to be in front of a camera. I think that our life here at Temple is different in itself. It's a strange little marriage of city and campus life, and it just all comes together and it flows perfectly. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. So I feel as though we have a phenomenal fan base as well. Philadelphia is arguably the sports capital of the United States. We have the most passionate fans. Sometimes it gets a little too passionate, but you can never complain about that when you're on the good guys' side. And we have a great fan base. We have great football teams, and I feel as though you're really going to get a fantastic show if you pick Temple and pick our program and pick me. I think that people would be very interested in watching my life in particular, because it is so strange to have a woman do something like this, especially, someone who wants to live their life in front of a TV camera. Usually mascots are portrayed as that dorky, nerdy person that kind of like hangs out in the corner, but I'm a very social butterfly, and I feel as though it'll give another perspective to who's behind the mask. And it might not be exactly who you think it would be. I get a lot of the, hey man, like, how you doing? And all of a sudden people think, oh, that's always a dude in there. And it's not always a guy. And sometimes you never know. You can find just a really tall girl, and I'm 6 feet tall, and I think that that's a little bit interesting to give a different spin on exactly who's behind the face of Hooter the Owl. Thank you very much for your time, and I really hope that you pick me.